Alright guys, so this is a disclaimer that I'm going to be putting in front of the next couple videos. What I'm going to be doing over the next, this weekend, today, and probably tomorrow, is I'm going to be opening up the Rb25 Got a lot of parts that I've been collecting for this operation. I have the water pump, head gasket, valve cover gasket over here. I have the N1 oil pump, ARP studs, HKS timing belt over here. All of this is what I'm going to be installing when I open up the motor. So it's going to be one big install session, but I want to give each piece its own video. So I'll probably be reusing like the teardown footage and stuff like that up until the point where I replace whatever part the video is after. And that's more so for the people that's like following the channel, just so that, you know, if you see repetition within the next couple videos, that's what it is. If this is the first video you've seen it, cool. If this is another one or the second or third one, just feel free to skip until the actual part that you need, because you got a lot of work to do. Water pump is going to be right here, timing belt is under the cover, valve cover gaskets up here, head gasket of course in the middle. So just for starters, there's that, and then the head studs and all that stuff. I am going to install the injectors, but I'm not really going to make a video on this because it's literally just adding some grease to it and sticking it in there, so that's not video worthy for me. Those will be installed in the process of me doing all this, but I won't make a video on that. So with that being said, let's get started with this teardown. For starters, you want to get the valve covers off and the timing cover off. So obviously we have the spark plug cover. I'm probably not going to be running this in the future anyway, just because I'm going to go LS coils and that's probably not going to fit. So these have Allen key sockets, or whatever you want to call them, to get that off. That's going to reveal the valley, and the actual valve covers have these bolts on the outside. I'm pretty sure there's some on the inside as well, so that's why you got to remove this cover. But just as an example, they're on the outside. I believe they're 10mm as well. So we'll start by doing that. I'm gonna remove the turbo, but we're gonna start by doing that. Alright, so between last and this clip, as you can see, I took one of the valve covers off and the valley of the, the coil pack harness. It's pretty easy. Like I said, once you get that cover off, you have these on the inside. I've already broken them loose, and they are, where is it? Here we go. They are 10mm, just so you guys know. That Allen key that I needed to take off the spark plug cover was a T25. So there's that. once you take off this, there is going to be a gasket right here that is going around this whole section. Take that off. I highly recommend for you to have every gasket ready to be replaced when you do this. I have mines over there, and I also have new hardware for the valve covers. It's a complete valve cover kit, so it comes with the gaskets and all that stuff. If you need to take off the actual ignition coils, you can do so here. I'm pretty sure these are 10s as well. Yeah, they are 10s. I'm not going to be doing that yet because I don't have my GM coils, but if you want to do that, you can. That's where they're accessible. So I'm going to pop this one off. Do the same thing that I did on this side. Okay, so for where we are now, both of them are off. I ended up painting a bunch of stuff. As you can see, I'm painting everything white. Valve covers are done. I just let those cure. These are still getting more coats because you kind of see a little bit of yellowing on there, but white is the new color. I was trying to paint them this gold to match the intake manifold, but the color that I had right here, it looks very similar, doesn't it? It looks very similar to that gold. But when I painted it that color, it came out basically like a dark brown with gold flake. And instead of waiting on more paint that takes another week and a half to get here, I decided I was going to paint it white and just call it. But as far as the valve covers, so in the kit that I got, valve cover kit I got from Nubis, it's right here. Let me turn my flash on. There we go. So this is the kit, Nubis valve cover hardware kit. Comes from Raw Brokerage. They have the valve cover rubber gaskets, brand new, and they have a hardware kit included in that. And then it also comes with, if you can see them, the 2 half moons, which I heard are a little bit of a bitch. But yeah, so you're gonna be replacing all that. The rubber you saw me take off that goes around the edge of it. These are the half moons in the back. Every time you take these out, technically speaking, you're supposed to replace them. All you want to do is they like pull out, and then you just take some gasket maker, as you can see, and pop the new ones in. So that's one thing that I'm gonna do. Probably take like a little screwdriver or something like this. See if I can get it under there and pop it out. There we go. They're pretty, as you can see, they're not too hard to get out. And I'm taking them out since I'm replacing them. There are some people that have metal versions of these because, like I said, these rubber ones are technically speaking not reusable as far as I know. So, yeah, that one's in there. There we go. Yeah, so these rubber ones are technically speaking not reusable. Every time you open it up, you're gonna want to reuse those. But some people have made metal ones to kind of eliminate that, where you still have to use RTV to put them in, but at least you can reuse the same ones, because those half moons are a little bit of a pain to get a hold of. So there's that. I'm gonna take a scrape tool real quick, get this excess off the back of it. Pretty useful tool, just to kind of clean that stuff up a little bit. Yeah. That off of there. I'm gonna put a little more RTV on it, just so that it can seal well before I put the new ones in. And then we're gonna lay down the other one. I believe that they used a little bit of RTV here to help get that rubber one to stick in place, because from when I pulled it off, it's like nothing really holding it in here. And then the last thing that I'll say is, if you leave this open for a long time, just get a little bit of oil and drizzle it on the cams and stuff like that so that you can lubricate them, because if this has been left open for a while, chances are all the oil is in the bottom of the engine. And since I've taken the oil pump off and painted that and all that stuff, this engine is safe to say that there's probably little to no oil in here. So that's just something that you can do. You don't necessarily have to, but it's just a good thing, because if you're rebuilding it and it doesn't have oil in it, you're gonna want to get oil to all the parts before you try to run the thing. But the first thing I'm gonna do is those moons. Then I'm gonna lay the gasket across and put the cover back on and show you guys how that looks on one side. And that pretty much takes care of those. So next thing is going to be these things. Alright, so I got the first one on. So one thing about them, I mean, it's not bolted down yet, and now I got to clean it off and stuff. But the valve covers, or the valve cover gasket at least, it does not go directly on the block. There's a little slot on the bottom for them to fit into. Yeah, these are filthy now. But yeah, it's a little slot on the bottom, so I'll show you on this one. And they are lined up differently, so if you're looking at just the gaskets, only one is going to fit from inside. But you see the little slot in between the bolts and stuff like that, that's where the valve cover gasket goes. And so you just slide it up in there. I used a little bit of oil. It helps to have the oil because it makes it a little easier for it to slide on or slide into the little gaps and stuff. And then the next thing would be just to bolt it down, which I will be doing shortly. I just want to make sure I get it somewhat clean before that. And of course, when you bolt it down, you know, make sure to torque it down to specifications and all that other good funky stuff. But yeah, so I'm gonna do the other one and start. Well, actually, I'm gonna bolt this one down first, then do the other one, and then we'll go from there. And you guys can see the final result. Okay, this is as good as it gets for the valve covers, pretty much. I'm gonna drop the torque specs in the video right here so you guys can see it. And that's the hardware kit that they also include with it on there. And pretty much is it. Torque it all down the spec and you're good to go. And now it's just left for me to do the other one. I'll post, yeah, I'll put a little clip at the end of both of them on there just for shits and giggles. But that's pretty much the whole install of the valve covers. Or not the valve covers, the valve cover gasket, if you go about doing it that way. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I wouldn't sweat if you had a valve cover gasket leak, because as you can see, very easy to replace. And there you have it. After all this is said and done, this whole thing is going to be just all white. All white, all white, all white. But for the valve covers, this video is done. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow the build. Till next time.